Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I want to do something far more interactive than have you listen to me. So let's jump into some really important thinking. Let's talk a little bit about perception. I want you to just quickly talk to the person beside you, nearby you, and answer the question, how many countries are there in the world? How many continents are there in the world? Quickly ask the person beside you and see if you can figure it out. Excellent. And if we could all see each other, I would ask you exactly how many you came up with. And probably if you grew up in North America, your answer to that in terms of continents is probably something like 7, right? Except that's not right at all. Because the truth is that depending on where you live on planet Earth, that answer varies from 3 to 7. The number of countries in the world runs somewhere between 190 to 220. Now, you're probably saying it was a trick question, that's not fair, you didn't ask a question that's based on science. Okay, let's do that. How many colors are there in the rainbow? And what color is the sky? Take a second and answer those questions. All right. Now you're probably getting a little bit concerned because you know that this is about perception, so you're beginning to wonder what kind of trickery I have up my sleeve. But I assure you, there's no trickery. So if you've taken science, then you know that there are 7 colors in the rainbow, right? Wrong. All of the colors are in the rainbow. And it depends on how you want to slice those colors up, but the answer is all of them. Every possible color is present in the rainbow. And if you talk to some indigenous groups, they will tell you that it's 3. And if you talk to a particle physicist, they will tell you that it's infinity. So the challenge here is we should listen to Edmund Schrödinger. He said, and I'm just going to step over here so I can read it, the task is not so much to see what no one has yet seen, but to think that which no one has thought about which everyone sees. In other words, I want you to think a new thought about the thing that is common. Think a new thought about the thing that is everyday. And that's what I like to do when I'm facing challenges, is I'd like to zoom in, and reach for something that might be new and innovative, rather than something that is the traditional boilerplate answer. Lots of people do this in lots of different areas. My own background has me doing an undergraduate degree in hard science, a master's degree in social science, and a PhD in the humanities. So I'm really quite used to thinking about things from different perspectives. And so did my friend, Roger Elby. He drew this fantastic little sketch. William, he drew this sketch, and he called it My Wife and My Mother-in-Law. And if you look very carefully, you will see not one image of a woman, but if you look at it from a different perspective, you will see another image of another woman. A young woman with her face turned away from the camera, and an older woman looking down and scowling. It's both women, not just one. If you can't see one or the other, you'll have a chance to talk to somebody later on and figure it out. Oh, I heard an oh, wait. I want to give you that chance to take it in. It's there. Both are present. When we're talking about perception, it becomes really important for us to remember that we are talking about looking at the world through our own eyes. Like the dress that broke the internet in 2015. Do you remember this, or were you too young? In 2015, this dress broke the internet because some of you see this dress as black and blue, while others of you see it as white and gold. Just talk to the person beside you, nearby you, and check in. And now I just turned best friends into enemies. What? That's impossible. The truth is this. Perception is everything, because you think that what I think is what you think I think. And that becomes a really big challenge for all of us, is that I'm using my lens to view the world, And that lens guides me, and it's so important. But yet, it may not be the only way to view the world. For example, would you please just look at this color for a moment, and just tell the person beside you nearby what color you're looking at? That's right. You won. It's blue. And in fact, if you're a nerd like me and you're a computer science person in the RGB space, this is the most blue because it's 00255. That is blue. But what's really interesting is this. What color is this? Now, I can't see exactly what color is showing up there. I know what color I coded it to be. Screens are different. Projectors are different. But at the end of the day, what's really fascinating about this particular color is that depending on where you are in the world, and depending on what gender you identify as, you will describe this color differently. Which is kind of interesting. Because if you identify as female, you are much more likely to use more descriptive words to capture this color than if you identify as male. And that actually has a biological backing to it. People who are biological females typically have more cones in the back of their eye and their retinas than people who are biologically male. That's why men are more likely to be colorblind. So the interesting thing is, the color you're observing isn't really just what you're seeing, it's also what you're acculturated to see. Which means, fascinatingly, that you might describe this color as periwinkle, and you might have other people who go, of course it's periwinkle, and other people say, what the hell is periwinkle? Is that even a thing? Because it turns out that when we talk to men around the world, they are most likely to use one of two modifiers to modify color names. Dark and light. And that's all they've got. Where women are much more likely to use far more descriptive words as they engage in this process of explaining to somebody else what color it is. So I'll be stereotypical for a moment here and say, gentlemen, don't do it. If your partner says that they are needing more nail polish and you head off to the pharmacy to get some, you better have that coat in hand because you think that it's red and you think that you're going to walk into Sephora and pick red and get the right one. You are so dead. So here's the thing. What color are these strawberries? Just say it out loud. Red. Of course they're red. But the only reason they're red is because you believe that they're red, because this is a black and white image. See? What? The image is black and white, but we perceive that there's color in the image because we need it. Color is so important to us. We need to feel that there's color there, but there really isn't. It is a grayscale image. The red strawberries are right beside it. This happens for all kinds of reasons, and we could, get a developmental psychologist out here to explain that. I'm not one, so I can't help you. But I can tell you this. There are lots of different reasons for why this exists. Some of them are cultural. Some of them are biological. Some of them are social. So again, you're a sociologist, you're a psychologist. All of those folks can help us to understand that journey. But ultimately, that information is not enough. We need more than that. Even as a group of English speakers, it is endlessly fascinating that where we're from affects what we say. Does anyone in the room know what a bunny hug is? I bet you a bunch of you are wearing them right now. It's a kind of hoodie, a hooded sweatshirt, that has one pocket in the front. If you look anywhere in central Canada, you'll see ads advertising bunny hugs at Walmart. It's just not a word we use here in Ontario. That's fascinating. The word cabin is more commonly used in Western Canada to mean that house that you go to on hot summer days that have water and fun equipment. You call it a cottage, that's right. But of course, if you were from Quebec, you would call it a chalet. Right? Where you're from affects what you say. One of my very good friends is from the East Coast, and when she came to work in Ontario as a teacher, she said, "All right, students, please get out your scribblers." And nobody moved. Because not a single student in the room knew what a scribbler was. Anyone? That's right, it's a notebook, a cahier. An exercise book if you're sufficiently vintage like I am. Because you do your writing exercises in them. That's what we called them when we were younger. An exercise book. You call it a notebook, they call it a scribbler. It means the same thing, but it's not the same word. So this has been a fun journey for us, and I don't want you to think that I'm just here to entertain you. I'm here to make you think. I just want you to pause for a moment and reflect on the fact that we were on a journey together for a moment that asked us to think about our perceptions about things. And here's the big lift. Here's the big ask. If we can't agree on colored squares, how can we ever come to agree on things like these? Like race and race discrimination, like poverty. How can we agree on things like women's rights or indigenous rights? How can we ever get there if we can't agree that that square is periwinkle? You see the problem? It's a much bigger lift than you think. We can't allow ourselves to believe that our limited experience is enough to be able to understand the complex world in which we live. It's a much bigger lift than that. There's this great story of a military, the early days of the Air Force, trying to design a plane for the average pilot. What was done was we started measuring things, body parts, arm length, height, head circumference, all of these different elements. And Lieutenant Gilbert Davies, he was so desperate to be able to find what the average would be, and then to design a fighter jet that would fit the average man. He did 160 elements to start off with. He reduced that down to 10 different characteristics. And in those 10 characteristics, he decided that those would be enough to be able to determine exactly what the average would be that would fit any pilot. And you know what he found? How many men of 4,000 did he find fit in the normative group with all 10 of those factors? The answer is 0. People are not average. There are no average people. And for that reason, we are calling you into listening deeper to one another, because you are not average. And so as you've heard from a number of different speakers tonight, we don't actually have to change the world. That's actually impossible. But we can change ourselves. And when we do that, we make an incremental change in the world. That is possible. And the only way we can even begin to engage in that complex journey of changing the world around us is by listening more deeply to people who have experiences that we know nothing of. I challenge you to perceive it differently. Thank you.